Hey, all my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel, where we embrace our femininity, increase our womanly value, and celebrate our brothers. So join me on our feminine journey to learn, heal, and grow. Hey there, my Crimsonites, and welcome to the Crimson Cure channel. I'm your hostess, femininity coach, and author of The Crimson Cure, and this is my perspective. So we got a little bit more on Amanda. She too big. Amanda, you too big, baby. Bookie, you too old, Bookie, at your big age to be lying and then having to backpedal and then having to double down. She don't know whether she want to double down or backpedal on this whole autism thing. And you wouldn't even be in this position had you not at your 42 years of big age got on Shannon Sharp's internet and lied about a diagnosis of autism, and then not liking it that people were simply asking you about it. It feel like pressure because you lied. Now you feel pressed to talk about it and things of that nature. So when people ask you about it, now there's all this obfuscating, there's all of this deflection, and there's all of this gaslighting that is now going on. Like I said, she doesn't know whether she want to double down or she want to backpedal, and all at the same time trying to throw Shannon's show under the bus. This is an atrocious person. Just Amanda is not a good person. This is a person that don't have no integrity or anything. She just wants praise, and she wants to be held on a pedestal and her butt kissed. She doesn't want to have any accountability. She doesn't want anybody to point out when she's doing ridiculous things and saying foolishness. And everybody's supposed to nod and smile when she talks, no matter what she's talking about or how crazy it is. Now she want to get mad when you don't go along with it. That's her not getting along with people. Her not getting along with people means that she wasn't able to say whatever crazy meant came out of the left field of her brain, and they just nod and smile and go with it. If they questioned it or they challenged it or they flat out disagree with it or they flat out told her she was wrong, she don't like that. And she gonna get in her bag and she gonna get in her feelings whenever that happens, no matter if it happens to a small degree or a larger degree. Now listen to this back foot babble as she talk. I just want y'all to hear this foolishness. Just hear it.
To the discovery of your autism. But what do you want people to either know about autism or the fact that you recently discovered that you have autism? There's a lot of talk about whether or not the diagnosis was clinical, or what would you like to say about that?
First, I want to say it is so wild to see people pick and choose when they want to believe doctors and when they don't. Like, I just think that that's one thing that's wild. Two, I think that it's a lot of people that do not know anything about autism. I've seen people say things like, well, I can't say that I got diagnosed with cancer if a doctor didn't diagnose me for cancer. And it's like, well, ma'am, cancer is something that you test for with blood and with actual biological things. Autism is a neurological disorder. It is a different set of
to the discovery of your autism.
The waiting lists are often for years, and especially for Black women, the only studies for autism to at length have really been for young white boys.
Oh, wow.
I talked about this in the interview, and they cut it out of the interview. So the autism. Yeah. So the majority of pathology around autism is done on young white boys. And so even girl children don't get properly diagnosed. And many parents have come in my DM saying, thank you so much for talking about this, because we have gone through so much struggles to get a diagnosis. And for the most part, the clinical diagnosis is a wide ranging meaning. So clinical doesn't have to simply mean by a physician. It can mean by a psychologist. It can mean by a psychiatrist. It can mean by someone who is an autism expert that has a master's degree, and a different set of testing. And the testing that is done is incredibly expensive and often is not even able to be had by adults. The waiting lists are often for years, and especially for Black women, the only
And here we go with the Black women, with the racial disparity, and she just say whatever. She didn't answer this woman's question. The fact that the woman had to kind of tiptoe around just saying, okay, so you lied about the clinical diagnoses of autism. So how do you want to speak to that? Right. She couldn't just come out and say that. She had to say, well, when you recently discovered you were autistic, she Googled it. Okay. She Googled it. And then she danced around everything. And then she threw Shannon. Shannon called her stray. They cut that out of the interview. It's called editing. She's trying to say it like they cut her voice short and that the editing was there to misrepresent what she said or to take what she said out of context or to misconstrue the context of what she was talking about. Okay. So the victimhood number 373. So then she goes on to gaslight and ramble about nothing in particular. She didn't say anything about how she self-diagnosed. Then she tried to talk about how it takes a long time, it takes years for you to be diagnosed in the testing, and clinical can mean a lot of things, not just a physician, but a psychiatrist. A psychiatrist is a physician, beloved. Psychiatrists, as opposed to psychologists, are able to prescribe medication. They are equipped to make an official diagnosis of mental and personality disorders. That is what a psychiatrist is. Okay? Just because they are not the type of physician that would take blood or a surgeon, they are physicians of the mind. Hence the prefix psyche. So they are there to diagnose what may or may not be easily picked up from biological cues. This is why psychiatric testing is different from biological physical testing, because this is a test of the mind. They're testing responses. They're testing your mind in all sorts of ways, and they have plenty of tools at their disposal in order to make a diagnosis of somebody's mental state. Okay? That is what a psychiatrist is, Amanda. Since you got your that's what a psychiatrist is, baby.
Since you got your degree and you know every fucking thing.
Okay? So they are the actual type of doctor. And that would qualify as a clinical diagnosis because psychiatrists work out of clinics, whether those clinics are affiliated with hospitals, whether it's private practice. Okay? When you go to a psychiatrist and they test you, they question you, and use whatever resources are at their disposal to make certain determinations, okay? Whatever diagnosis they put in your chart, that would be the clinical diagnosis, ma'am. Okay? The fact that she's up here just scrambling and back feet babbling, she's a liar. She's a liar. She go places, she exaggerates, she exacerbates. Okay? She's going to put more on it than it needs to be. She's a spin doctor, likes to spin the narrative in another direction to get you thinking and talking about something other than what she was asked to respond to get you off your square of realizing that she didn't actually answer the question that was posed to her. She spin it off, and now we're talking about autistic testing being more extensive for little white boys. And now we got to talk about how the girls don't really get it, and especially Black women don't really get the diagnosis. You're going to get the diagnosis if you go in there and ask. Go to whatever clinic, whatever, and ask, I think I might be on the spectrum. Is there any way for me to get testing done to either confirm it or deny that? And if it's got to be denied, if I'm not on the spectrum, can we do further, sessions in order to figure out exactly what's going on with me, because this is what's going on. This is how I experience the world. And also, the victimhood is at an all-time high, because since when has anybody ever fought so hard to have a mental disorder? Since when? Since when has anybody ever fought so hard to have a neurological disorder? It used to be where we said that people were disabled in one way or another and to some degree or another. And we had empathy for those people, but we didn't want to be them because we understood the blessing of not having certain different impairments, while at the same time expressing empathy and just a human regard for people who may be going through a situation where they are either physically or mentally disabled, or they have some shortcoming. Being on the spectrum of autism is a neurological shortcoming in most cases, because you can be nonverbal, you can be unable to actually express what's going on in your mind, or you can be high functioning. People probably wouldn't know that you were autistic. So I don't know who fights this hard to have a disorder of some kind and an excuse to be rude and obnoxious. This is how far she's going, to be rude and obnoxious, and she wonders why people don't like her. She wonders why people don't want to be involved with her, and people just sort of kind of shun her because this is what you do. This is how you behave. It's sad. She really need to go sit down somewhere. Amanda, go sit down somewhere, Bookie. This is me to you. Go sit down somewhere, Bookie. It's not given what you think is given, beloved. Too smart for your own good. You so smart that you're dumb. You want to be liked. You want to be admired. Why don't you be likable and admirable? Jump down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe to the channel. If you have not, once again, I'm your host, Sister Crimson Cure, and this was my perspective. Bye-bye, Crimsonites.